It's about time we start to hold companies accountable for the inequality they create.
Welcome, Michelle. Thank you for making time for us. Well, you are an award-winning author, you're an equality thought leader, organizational culture expert, researcher and practitioner. You're the host of different popular podcasts, the founder of Equality Forward, senior advisor of the UN's Foundation Girl Up campaign, and prior to this you were even the director of inclusion at Netflix. It's an extensive list of notable jobs, and it keeps on going, but they all have one thing in common, and that is the focus on advancing gender equality and enhancing opportunities and achievements for women worldwide. So my first question for you would be like, when did it all started? What sparked your interest in the topic?
Yeah, look, I think I probably started researching this topic about 10 years ago, and I have lived all over the world, and the one thing I noticed in every organization I've ever worked in is that inequality is everywhere, and I would notice female colleagues working just as hard as male colleagues and not advancing at the same rate. I myself have experienced a range of what I call inequality moments, so just moments day to day where you're discriminated, you're harassed, you have sort of challenges with sexual harassment, you're excluded, you're marginalized, and those moments really stood out to me. I share many examples in my book of my experiences with this over the years, whether it's a boss, telling you to wash the dishes because you're the only woman on the team.
Did that happen?
Male colleagues sort of inappropriately commenting about, how you look. I think the challenge is those day-to-day moments add up, and for the longest time I thought maybe it was me, maybe something was wrong with me, and it wasn't until I started researching the topic, and trying to answer the question, hey, what do I need to do to solve this problem, that I realized it wasn't really my problem to solve, that actually we need organizations that value difference. And so that kind of started my mission to want to share what I'd found, just because it was so counterintuitive to a lot of the lean in messages that are out there that tell women, something's wrong with you, you've got to do more, be more to succeed at work, and that's simply not true. Women are good enough just as they are. What they need is workplaces that value their difference, and that's not what we have today.
So what's the real challenge today? Has it been improved over the past years, or is it still quite the same?
Yeah, look, I think for me, there's a natural theory of change that I work through, and I've shared it in my book, which is, got to be aware of problems in order to solve them. So we can't be in denial about inequality. So the starting point is always awareness, and then the goal is to get to a place where equality is a practice, a lot like safety in organizations, where it becomes the way workplaces work. It's just a fundamental way that employees behave, that leaders lead, and really what the organization is known for. And to get it there, the starting point is really that awareness piece. You deserve a workplace that values you. And we don't say that enough to women, but you do. And so it's about time we start to hold companies accountable for the inequality they create.
Is it an illusion, or has a battle for equality and inclusion been going faster in the last years, also with the rise of Netflix, TV series, and other influential outlets and media? Because it seems like a lot of countries have taken already action to put equality as one of their top priorities. Or am I wrong about that?
Leaders are accountable for the inequality that people experience in their teams every day. And so the goal is, to really hold leaders accountable for the cultures they create. And that, for me, is the missing link. Yes, we have organizations saying they're committed, but it's not enough. And I think the real challenge, and something I'm struggling with at the moment, is in a lot of my work, I'll hear leaders say, we're good on gender, Michelle, we're good, we've solved this gender thing, we've really got to focus on race now. And when I hear that, I instinctively know the leader's not done the work to understand how inequality works. This isn't one group or some hierarchy of sort of groups that we work our way through. Naturally, if you think you've solved gender but you've got a race problem, what you're really telling me is, hey, we made our workplace work for white women, but actually it doesn't work for anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
that's not good enough, right? So I think we need leaders to really understand these issues and do the work, and that's what's not happening.
Who has been your role model, if you have any? Who has been your role model throughout your career?
You know, most people don't know this, but I was a TV reporter early on in my 20s for a business program in New Zealand for our major news channel, and I was very fortunate that the first person I ever interviewed for a radio station was the Dalai Lama. And in the session, I actually asked the Dalai Lama the exact question you've asked me. And he said something that stuck with me my whole life. He said, Michelle, you know, anybody can become better than their role model. So the goal is not to focus on a role model. The goal is to focus on your values. And I think that's really true. You know, people will disappoint you time and time again as part of being human, right? So for me, the goal is to really be clear on what you value, and then to think about, hey, how do I show up in a way that's aligned with that? And most people don't do that. It took me a long time to actually sit down and really think about, hey, how do I want to show up? What do I want to be known for?
Can you give our viewers 3 practical, very short practical tips or lessons on how to improve their environments on an individual level?
For the vast majority of people, is how can we shift hearts and minds? And again, I think that starts with, you know, do the work to disrupt your denial, become aware of these issues, hold yourself accountable for educating yourself about inequality and different lived experiences. You know, read books by people who don't look like you, listen to podcasts on topics about inequality that you might never have experienced. You know, do the work to educate yourself. And then thirdly, you know, take action every day to think about, how can I practice this in my job? How can I show up for my colleagues? How can I make my workplace the workplace that values the differences and different identities people have? That's really the goal.